r/confessions. I caught my boyfriend cheating. A little info about my boyfriend: he works at Walmart and has several friends from work, including some women, which I never has a single worry about. We have been together 4 years and never once had he showed any sign of being unfaithful. He texted them, yes, but never hid anything. I went to my babysitting job and we called and texted all the way up until about an hour from when I normally get home, which I though he just fell asleep. I finish up my shift and try to call him, no answer. I drive to his apartment. I live with him because my mom lives out of state and my dad has never been around, and see all the lights off, so I just assume he's asleep. I pull in and find the front door unlocked, so I walk in and hear moaning from the spare room we used when people stayed the night. The spare room is the first room to the right when you walk in, which is why the moaning was so easily heard. My heart fell into my stomach. I didn't want what I heard coming from the other side of that door to be true. I slowly open the door and the moaning got 5 times louder. I flip the light off and they both freak. I break into tears and fall to my knees. He gets mad at me, asking what the hell I'm doing home early and getting extremely loud. I told him it's after 10 p.m. and asked repeatedly why, what the hell is going on, and each time I asked he got more and more aggravated with me. Finally he just told me to leave, that this isn't what he wants, that I was just a filler until he could get what he really wants. I didn't even think twice. I grabbed my important documents, my clothes and bathroom stuff and just left. I have nowhere to go, no family around. My only family is a cousin a few drive away. No friends, all the women's shelters are at capacity at the moment. I stay in my car now and just try and find somewhere. It's hot, I'm hungry and scared. Thank you for reading my vent. My GF kissed someone. I don't know how to feel about it, so I wanted to share. So a little context: me and my girlfriend have been together for 2 years, and even though we are young, I see myself marrying her. She is very dear to me, and I love her to death. We have more of a private relationship. I tell everyone I am taken but don't specify who it is, and she doesn't tell anyone she is taken. We are openly close, but we say we are best friends. Even though at first the idea of it seemed nice and I didn't mind, over the years I realized that it would create problems in our relationship. I should mention that while I am not ugly, I can't say I am good looking either. I don't get much attention from others, while my girlfriend is the exact opposite. She is really beautiful, with long hair and enchanting eyes, plump lips, pale skin. She is skinny and has a nice height. She could be a model if she wanted to. Therefore, she gets lots of attention. She gets asked out all the time, and she is more of a flirty type and also pretty social. This week she took a 3-day trip to a different part of our country, and she got to have roommates, her and 2 others. However, there were only 2 beds, and she had to sleep in a bed with the girl. The girl dropped a few hints, such as asking her what her type to date was, and then when asked herself, she described my girlfriend, also hugging her waist while she slept, she is a deep sleeper, and some other things I don't want to specify. On the last day of being there, she kissed my girlfriend even though my girlfriend mentioned she had someone, not that she was dating someone, just subtly mentioning she has someone, and when my girlfriend reminded her that, she, the girl, said they could still be FWB. It wasn't even a peck, she got on top of her and made out with her. What annoyed me more is that my GF texted me in details how they kissed. I also have to mention that now my GF is her first kiss. Even though I understand that my girlfriend didn't really do anything wrong, I just feel bad about it. After she came back from the trip, we met at the park. I love kissing and cherishing her, but for some reason, when I kissed her, I just remembered that she kissed someone, and it drove me away from her. Kissing and hugging her doesn't feel the same, it's still her, but it feels different. I feel really upset, but I don't want to make her feel bad about it. I will admit that the jealousy also comes from the fact that the girl that kissed her is way better than me, look-wise, and it makes me feel worse about myself since I am already self-conscious about my looks. I don't know what to do or say, it just doesn't feel the same. How I went from being irresistible to utterly repulsive in 1 week. Throw away, just in case, and I'm pretty sure that she doesn't go on Reddit, so I think it's safe for me to vent in here. So, a couple months ago, I matched with a stunning woman who checked every box. A little bit of backstory, but I, 31M, had never been in a relationship before, and I rarely, if ever, got any female attention throughout my life. So when we matched, I was pretty stoked. We started talking and we set up a gym date for the next day. That turned into a dinner date the day after, and everything was going well for a week. On both dates and throughout the week, she made it pretty clear that she found me incredibly attractive and was very much looking forward to being in a committed relationship together. During the third date, she mentioned that when she told her narcissistic, abusive ex that she was moving on with me, he threatened to come over to her house that night and ruin her life. She mentioned earlier during the date that she didn't want me coming over until her situation with her ex was resolved, and I acknowledged. Before I left, I told her to call me when he came by, but I unintentionally left out the part about how it was because I was planning to be there to prevent her ex from physically assaulting her, but at that time, I didn't realize that that would not be in the best interest for her, since she didn't want me around, but I was too focused on making sure she was safe and protected to think about that. After I left, I went home and I started drinking to wind down from the long day. After I got tipsy, I get a text from her telling me that he was there. My drunk, stupid ass immediately started driving over there as fast as possible without giving her at least a heads up that I was on my way to her place. I was so focused on making sure to get there before anything bad happened that I didn't think to let her know I was on my way. Once I got to her place, I knocked on her door and she was surprised but also concerned to see me. Thankfully her ex wasn't there and it didn't look like she was physically assaulted, but I was still drunk at the time, and overstayed my welcome a little bit before she eventually pushed me out of her house. However, I thought it would be a good idea to stay in the parking lot in case the asshole came back, but she pleaded with me over text to leave because she felt like she would be in even more danger if he sees me. I replied with "I'll leave but only if you promise me you'll be safe," and she had to plead with me the second time before I left. The next day, I text her to check up on her and her texts got shorter and shorter. I asked her what's wrong, and she said that she was feeling really stressed from the night before, so her enthusiasm to text me was dwindling. I said okay, and then stopped texting her to give her space. The next morning, I texted her to make sure she was okay, but she didn't reply. Assuming the worst happened, I let her know that I was on my way to her place to make sure that she was safe and that nothing happened to her. On my way, I get a text from her saying that she was okay and that he came by again the night before and got violent. I asked her to let me know if there's anything I can do for her in the meantime while she's going through so much pain and stress. That same night, I asked her if she would like for me to bring her dinner so that she doesn't have to cook or do dishes, and she said that she really appreciates the thought, but that what she needs now is some space. I said okay, but later, my dumb ass thought that continually texting her was a good idea, thus going against her wish for space, in the hopes to cheer her up with my positive energy. Obviously she didn't reply to any of the message, so I got the hint and dropped it. The next day, I waited until the afternoon to text her "I miss you," to which, surprisingly, she replied. I later realized how selfish that was, and that I should have waited until she texted me first since she was the one that asked for space, but I was too stupid to think about that. We went back and forth, and I thought maybe her mood was better, so I was relieved. That night, I decided to drink in order to cope with the constant worry I had about her, which is when everything spiraled out of control. I got drunk to the point that I thought it was a good idea to drive over to her house again without letting her know, and staking outside her house in the parking lot, in case her ex made a surprise visit again to threaten her life and safety. I didn't let her know because I was so focused on getting there before things could take a turn for the worse that I didn't think to stop and reflect on how she might feel if she were to ever see me parked outside her house without her knowledge. I got there and waited. Maybe 20 minutes before my phone lit up and it was her asking WTF I was doing outside her house. And instead of trying to explain my reasoning, I told her I was leaving and immediately left. She told me that she felt very uncomfortable and creeped out by my action. I replied that I was there to protect her from her ex. And while she was typing out a reply, I ended up removing her from Snapchat because I knew that I messed up beyond all repair, and I thought that it would be in her best interest for me to suddenly disappear from her life, and that it would be in my best interest to start the no contact period immediately. Mind you, I was still extremely drunk during the whole ordeal and I have no recollection of removing her from Snapchat. I only found that out after she told me.